Right, Premier League season almost upon us, gents. Which way is it going to go? James?
I think Manchester United will retain their title. I'm not blown away by signings like Ashley Young, the Spanish keeper De Gea is obviously an exciting one, and Phil Jones as well. I think they're just very solid additions to what is already the best squad in the league, and you're looking around for rivals. I think United are around 2-1 to win the league. You're looking around at the rivals. City still up in the air a little bit. I'm still not convinced that Mancini has that kind of not quite the winning mentality, but the audacity that you sometimes need, particularly away from home, to go out and say, I've got a fantastic array of forward players. Go out and win the game. And Chelsea as well have been slightly moribund in the transfer market so far. And I just see United's squad, the likes of Nani, Valencia, Hernandez, Rooney, Chris Smalling. They're only going to develop into even better players. And then you look at Chelsea's core with Ashley Cole, Lampard, John Terry, and you're saying, well, possibly they're on a downward spiral. I do think it's between those three. I think Arsenal, fairly.
We don't want to upset you, James.
Fairly predictably, the defence, even in pre-season, has been absolutely laughable. Still doubts over Fabregas and Nasri, and Tottenham have been in a similar position with Modric and Liverpool. I don't see what all the fuss is about, to be honest. I think they've got a bigger squad. I don't think it's a better squad. They've just been buying players for the sake of buying players, really. So yeah, United look in a fantastic position.
Mark, United easily the best team last year and got better?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why sort of the 9-point golf last season, and that they also reached the Champions League final, the FA Cup semi-finals and the Carling Cup quarter-finals, and apparently it wasn't a very good United team. So if that's what they can do in a year that's far from vintage, then I see no reason, like James was saying there, why certainly Chelsea will not only sort of narrow the gap, but then overhaul them as well, because even though they've brought in Andre Villas-Boas, a manager I admire greatly, his Porto team was very dynamic and athletic, and it was full of fast movement, and the midfield pressed really high up the pitch, and the defence was...
But Chelsea used to play like that.
They did, but that was a good few years ago, and it's the same players. Ashley Cole has been up and down that left wing. He's been playing left back and left wing for the past 10 years, and I thought he had his worst season last year. John Terry, he's had back problems. You're asking it all around. It revolves for me, Chelsea, around Torres. If they can get him going, if they can find somebody, a midfielder to feed him and get Torres back to the form he was at with Liverpool,
it's
then
turned
they've
into
got
a massive
chance.
if, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And Manchester City, for me, are the biggest dangers now to United. I think Aguero is an absolutely fantastic player, and if you have a look at Silva, Balotelli, Yaya Toure, this is their second season now, so there's no settling in period. There's been no massive changes, although they might lose Tevez. This is a team that can surely only get better. Whether it's enough to actually go all the way and not only become sort of noisy neighbours, but just become the big team in Manchester, I doubt this season. I think next year maybe, but the United City 1-2 straight forecast is one that interests me.
I think I'll definitely have to agree. I think it could be, winning the title could be just that little bit too far for City this year, although I like them a lot. The thing that puts me off at the moment is the price. I think 4-1's a little bit short for a team that's not done it before. And like James, I think that Mancini can be too reticent in the big matches. He doesn't go out to win and steamroller teams and grab a game by the scruff of the neck when they're playing United or Chelsea or something like that. And they're the sort of games that they're going to have to win if they win the title.
I do think that Arsenal to finish in the top 4 is actually still a decent bet. I know we've been pretty negative about them, but they did a lot of things well last season. I know that the finish eventually sort of clouded over everything and it turned into a bit of a disaster for them. But they had the best away record in the Premier League, something that everybody says they're a soft touch on the road. That's just simply not true. It's actually they dropped fewer points from winning positions than Manchester United, and everybody says, "Oh, Arsenal, they can't hold on to a lead." It's what they really sort of struggle to do is to learn from the mistakes. They make the same mistakes time after time after time. You only got to look at, say, the 2 games against Tottenham where they were 2 goals up in both North London derbies and they've taken 1 point. You'd imagine that at some stage they have to learn from the mistakes that they just keep making. But for Liverpool signings, the summer signings, I don't think any of them would get in the Arsenal team. Henderson wouldn't be anywhere near it. Charlie Adam wouldn't be anywhere near the team. It's all about Suarez for Liverpool. If Suarez, and I think he's a fantastic striker, and Downing should feed him reasonably well, but it's not enough for me. They're still a bit away from being a top 4 team again. If you have a look at the team defensively, they did well under Dalglish last year, but as we speak, they still haven't got a real left back. And I just wonder how long sort of Jamie Carragher can keep on sort of being the hero of that team. So for me, it's going to be a United, City, Chelsea, Arsenal front 4.
I don't think I'd disagree with that too much. I think Liverpool are being overhyped. I see some firms there's no difference in the price between Liverpool and Arsenal, and I can't see that. I think people have got carried away. People forget that before they lost the Carling Cup final, Arsenal were right up there, right in with a shout at winning the title this year.
I also
think people have overreacted.
Yeah, I also think with Liverpool that they got a lot of their points in games at the end of the season, and I'm not too sure that you can read a lot into that form when you're playing without pressure.
I think that's right. I think they kind of thrashed some teams who were, fairly bored and fairly out of form. And Maxi Rodriguez is scoring hat tricks.
Yeah.
You're certainly,
something's up.
You're certainly looking at that.
But they are a team on the up. There's no doubt about it. They've sorted out the ownership issue. Everybody's together, the fans, and they're all behind the manager, and it makes a change for them to actually say, well, okay, it might not be the best players. We've sort of had a bit of a go at the signings, but at least they're going out there and spending that money. Whereas under the sort of former American cowboys, anything. There was talk of administration, wasn't there, at one stage? So they're a team on the up, and I'd be looking for them at the League Cup. They've got a massive squad, and that might be the one for them.
We've talked about, I think we're pretty united on United.
Yeah, very much so.
But down the bottom, that looks a right old tussle, doesn't it? The teams that have come up are often written off.
Yeah.
Anything in the relegation market, James, that catches your eye?
I think the 3 promoted teams have been written off a little too early, really. Of the 3, I think QPR are the ones who really look unimpressive. I can't understand the lack of ambition from this club, who apparently have these mega rich owners. Fantastic location, could really kind of establish themselves in the Premier League, and Neil Warnock's done an excellent job to get them promoted, and he just doesn't seem to be given the funds to build on that. So I think they're about 7-1 or something to finish bottom. I quite like that. And the other team for relegation, Norwich and Swansea both long odds on to go down. But I like Wigan at about 2-1. How they survived last season, I don't know. They've lost Nzogbia, who's one of the few players with a bit of magic there, and I think they're 8-1 to finish bottom and 2-1 to go down, and I think that both decent prices.
What about events at Ewood Park, Mark? Would that affect your views on relegation, Mark?
Yeah, I think that Blackburn are of the teams that are sort of established in the Premier League. They would be the ones that I'd be looking to back to go down. If you have a look at it last season, virtually nobody scored goals for them. Juve has gone back to Manchester United. He wasn't a fantastic player, but he did score a few goals for them. Kalinic wants out. I know that they're trying to sign David Goodwillie from Dundee United, but we spoke earlier about the step up from the SPL to the Championship, never mind the Premier League. They've lost Phil Jones, who was a massive part of what they did. They've got a novice manager. They've got owners that untrustworthy for me. They speak about Ronaldinho and Raul and David Beckham, and it never quite lives out.
Not
that way.
much proof in that pudding.
No, there isn't. So that they're a team, but for me, the banker of all bankers is Norwich. I thought they were very lucky to go up last season. Scored an awful lot of late goals. This is successive promotions for them. You got 2 years ago, they were a League One team. Paul Lambert seems to have bought a lot of Championship players, and if you buy a lot of players from the Championship, you normally end up with a team of Championship potential. And I think that they'll be going straight back down. I can't see anything other than bottom spot for them.
I would agree. I don't think that the Canaries would be flying high at all. Like you say, his recruitment, Steve Morrison, not a Premier League footballer for me.
No.
And that seems to have summed up the recruitment policy at Carrow Road. Like James said, QPR have got their problems, and until they sort them out, then they look relegation material to me as well. And Blackburn, I think there's still a bit of value left in there at 7-2 for them to go down as well.
I think that the ones that Swansea are favourites, and I just don't know why. I know why, because they came up via the playoffs. But I mean, if you have a look at the way they play football, it's more suited to the Premier League than what it is the Championship. They've got some absolutely fantastic footballers in that team. And if Danny Graham scores the goals, which I think he may well do, having won the Championship Golden Boot last season, that was the one thing lacking from their side last year. It was somebody to score a lot of goals other than Sinclair, who did fantastically. He was on penalties. From open play, Danny Graham could be the man. And if they can get a finishing touch to all of the fantastic football they play, I can see them surviving with something to spare.
So I'll put you on the spot then. Who's your 3 teams to go down, James?
I'm going to go for Wigan, Norwich, QPR.
For me, it's QPR and it's Norwich and Blackburn.
I'm going to have to agree with Mr. Langdon and say Norwich, QPR and Blackburn.